Welcome in. Game Time Decisions is live. It is a Friday night here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh with you for the next 2 hours with a ton to get to. NBA's All-Star Weekend will be underway tonight. It means we not only get to break down Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a full slate of activities, but reset the NBA, the standings, and the conference odds in both the East and the West. Coach James Young will be here in the opening hour to help me do that. In hour number 2, I know Brady Cannon's going to stop by, and the Genesis Invitational, unfortunately, has come to a close for Tiger Woods. Had to withdraw due to illness. With Tiger, the last thing he wanted was having to withdraw before the weekend even began. Yet that is the result of his Genesis Invitational. It is something we will talk to with Brady Cannon about. We'll talk to Dave Sharapan, who, of course, always comes to us from Vegas. And we start today's show with some Vegas-centric news, which is Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has been suspended for 2 games for testing positive for PEDs. What this really is going to lead to is the guaranteed release of Jimmy Garoppolo by the Vegas Raiders. Now, Garoppolo didn't look like he was going to be a part of their long-term plans anyway. He was brought in by the prior regime, primarily Josh McDaniels, with Antonio Pierce taking over. There was never really an idea that it was going to be Jimmy Garoppolo's ball club next year, but tacking a suspension on, Jimmy G finding work could be a touch difficult in the league. Certainly it is going to be backup jobs that Garoppolo will be looking for in the National Football League. We'll bring our radio audience into the fold. Appreciate all those who are here on SportsGrid, including Sirius XM Channel 159. Kevin Walsh with you on this Friday night. If we open it up, you'll see the NBA take center stage. And we'll start with your NBA championship odds. Boston is at plus 260, a definitive favorite. If you look right now at this Celtics team, and you basically have what is this starting 5 here behind me, and it's all-stars in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and it is this perfect bunch that only can really, though, answer their question when we get to the playoffs. And we know that is true. So when you go through these odds here, the question is, can you pick off big prices to potentially capitalize on a team like Boston? What does catch my attention, the Celtics right now have the best record in basketball. But if you go down to the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, that's the Cavs, 22-1. How about the top seed in the West? That's Minnesota, 24-1. How about OKC, 22-1? That's where the other best records in basketball sit. Huge gap, as 0 tacked on essentially to these basketball teams from Boston down on. Boston is the only team that I think is really matching up preseason expectations, title expectations, and then record-wise. And another thing that's probably boosting these Boston odds, how disastrous things are going for the Milwaukee Bucks since bringing in Doc Rivers. 3-7 as the Bucks head coach, losing last night as a double-digit favorite to the Memphis Grizzlies, a completely depleted basketball team. The idea around Doc Rivers is this was going to be tough sledding come the playoffs. It was not supposed to be this difficult right away. It feels like Doc does not know what he got himself into. It feels like the Bucks don't know what they got themselves into. Milwaukee had the second best record in the league when they moved on from Adrian Griffin for Doc Rivers. Here we are, 3-7 with Doc as their head coach as they hit the All-Star break, where Doc Rivers will be coaching. The East-West returns for the first time in a long time for the NBA's All-Star game. For a number of years, it was Team LeBron against Team Giannis, Team Durant. We had a few iterations. Team Curry, I believe, would have been year number 1 of this entire thing. But instead, we are back to the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference. And it also means the Elam ending has made its way out the door as well for the All-Star game. The West, a 3-point favorite. Your total varying between 364 and 364.5. What I will say with that Elam ending being out the door, do not really use the totals from these past 4 or 5 years. You go back to when this was East versus West. to try and get an idea of how the scoring was. You factor in some of the NBA's current pace, I'll let you know right now, we're looking towards the over in that basketball game. Let's take a look at the All-Star Game's MVP market right now. Giannis Antetokounmpo is booked as your favorite, despite being on the Eastern Conference All-Stars. LeBron and Steph check in as options 2 and 3. One of the interesting things, and we'll talk with a few people about this, certainly with Coach James Young, but we are now in a position where we have to project effort level heading into the All-Star Game. I guess it's par for the course with the state of the NBA right now. LeBron last year at the All-Star Game basically only played in the first half 14 minutes, yet booked as the second option here. LeBron is obviously not going to be winning All-Star Game MVP if he is going to just be there to be a part of the ceremony. And if you're LeBron at this point in your career, who could blame him? Get the start, fill it up for about 10 points, and then be on your way. A couple of dunks. Thanks for having me. The question, though, is will you see the same from Steph? Will you see the same from Durant? Will you see the same from Kawhi Leonard? All of the oldest players there this All-Star weekend are on the Western Conference side of it. Really, the only exception would be Damian Lillard from the Eastern Conference, who, if we're being honest, largely shouldn't even be there. One thing that you will also notice here, 1 through 10, is this is not just the 10 starters. Devin Booker crashes the party because Luka Doncic is not inside this top 10. Luka and Nikola Jokic, who was also not flashed inside your top 10, are not featured here despite being Western Conference starters. You go through their All-Star Game history, not a lot of effort from those two. Again, something we'll break down. Let's take a look at your national championship odds. College basketball tonight. No ranked action there. Plenty of MAC games out somewhere on the Mountain West as well. You can find some hoops. But this weekend, a lot of great action, including your favorites, the UConn Huskies, with a matchup against the Marquette Golden Eagles, and in the SEC, an awesome one. The Auburn Tigers take on the Kentucky Wildcats, a Kentucky team that certainly could use a big road win like that. We'll see if they're capable of getting it. Let's get a quick pick on the board. Again, we're going to do a lot of All-Star discussion. I bet 3 different players to win All-Star Game MVP. The longest shot I'm taking is on Donovan Mitchell, 22-1. I tend to think that this is going to come from the Eastern Conference because I like the East to win this game. We'll break that down more. But I think Donovan Mitchell has been one of the most underrated players this entire season. He should be in the top 5 MVP conversation. His team has the second best record in the entire league. And Donovan Mitchell, we know, fits the description. A microwave scorer who can absolutely abuse the second lineup here in this All-Star game. Give me 22-1. Coach James Young steps in next for some college hoops breakdown.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in the 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, Name's Eric Spolstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas? Maybe in the future, they get Luka Doncic.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. A lot of basketball to break down. Coach James Young will be here for our opening hour. JY, I figure we start on this college board here on a Friday. How are you?
Good, man. Listen, no NBA this weekend. All right, there's NBA this weekend, but I don't, whatever. There's a ton of college games, some games tonight, and hopefully we'll have time to talk about tomorrow, because tomorrow is a loaded Saturday as usual.
Yeah, no doubt about it, JY. Let's figure out where you are on the board. And there's a Big East game here tonight. Georgetown catching points at home from the Villanova Wildcats. How do you feel?
Here we go, K-Dub. Every time I think I'm out, they suck me back in. I'm taking Villanova minus the points. Listen, I went to that Seton Hall game on Sunday. I saw something I know but I have not seen. I saw an energy. I saw a connectiveness. I think more starting to play better. They're finding themselves. And Georgetown's just not good. Ed Cooley will get this figured out at Georgetown. Villanova's got to turn this now. This is almost now or never if they want to make a run for the tournament. I think they win by 10 plus. Give me Villanova on the road at Georgetown.
I mean, I don't know. Don't I have to just zag on you then? Because this is what Villanova does to you? I mean, could it be Hoyas outright? I mean, could it be Hoyas outright?
Let me tell you something. Listen, the last time I went with them, with Villanova, I think is when they had an 11-point lead, I think at Butler, and they lost outright.
Yeah.
If they lose at Georgetown, I'm going to say this right now, I think Kyle Neptune won't be the coach of Villanova tomorrow morning.
It doesn't feel like they're going to. Well, here's the thing. They're not going to lose the game tonight.
But if they
I don't know
did,
if they would make a move. My thing is, JY, I think if they were going to lose in season, they would have fired him when he lost to every mid-major Philadelphia school in like a 2-week window. I just feel like that would have been the time. But look, again, I totally understand your
real
point
quick,
there.
Hit up real quick.
Yeah.
I did talk, in all seriousness aside, Kyle Neptune has the support of the president of the university. I do know this. And they think they got to give Kyle time. Now, I don't know what the boosters are going to think if they keep losing with the amount of NIL money they push forward, but they think the guy needs time. And it'll be interesting because with all those guys leaving after this year, he may get a ton of time because they're going to be incredibly young unless he goes back into the portal again.
Yeah, look, it'll be interesting to follow Villanova hoops. How about some A-10 action, JY? St. Louis and VCU. VCU laying a number on the road. Does that scare you off?
No, it doesn't. The VCU team is starting to play really well, K-Dub. 8-2 against spread the last 10 games, including they gave Richmond their first loss. I know it was at the Siegel Center, but they're starting to find their way here a little bit. A team like St. Louis, not as good. I know road spot, you get a little worried taking the favorite. I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and take VCU minus 4.5 tonight.
All right, little VCU action there in the A-10. Then we go home to the Mac Daddy. Gales are laying a big number to Manhattan. Just wanted to mention that. But Fairfield, Niagara, I see this game has your attention.
Mac Daddy will make you jump. It's Mac Friday, folks. And here's why I'm doing this. And I want you to listen to me because I coached in the Mac. Caleb knows about the Mac travel. These teams that come from Buffalo, Canisius and Niagara, they don't fly. It is hell getting down there. It's a 7-8 hour bus ride. And these teams typically are not good their first game traveling south. Just like when teams go north, they're usually not good on the first game because their legs are worn out from being on the bus so long. I've been there. Fairfield, good at home. I think they win by double digits. Give me Fairfield, minus 6.5.
All right. Have you been keeping tabs, Coach, on the MAC? Look, I have to admit I haven't been able to follow it as much as I probably want. It's incredible the lack of separation, but at the moment on KenPom, 174 is the Iona Gales, still labeled the best team. But at 175, it is Fairfield, and then Quinnipiac is at 180. And that's overall in all of college basketball there. So you see the top teams in the MAC right now, according to KenPom at least, not a lot of separation, 3 clear teams above the rest.
Yeah, really, and Quinnipiac's been great. Obviously, Baker Dunleavy left Quinnipiac to go run the NIL money over at Villanova. They've done a great job, 11-2. Fairfield, a little bit of controversy early this year. They're playing really well, 9-4, 3-game winning streak. And Marist, but it's weird, Kid, because it's Marist, it's Niagara, it's Iona, all with 5 losses, folks. So the MAC tournament gets a little bit crazy, particularly when you get to Atlantic City. There's a lot of parity in this league. The only teams you're really not looking at is really that bottom 4 of Rider, Canisius, Siena, Manhattan. You throw all those teams out, they're not going to win the tournament. Kevin, all those teams above that, maybe Mount St. Mary's as well, all those teams, including St. Peter's, who defends really well, although they've lost 4 in a row, that MAC tournament in Atlantic City usually gets a little nutty. There's a lot of teams that can win that tournament.
And then, JY, let's button this up here out in the Mountain West. San Diego State, New Mexico. We've got San Diego State laying about 6.5, it looks here, in this game. How do you feel?
Usually when you think about Richard Pitino, you think about New Mexico, you think about how well they play at the Pit. But I saw something with them going on the road at Nevada and getting a tight win. I'm not saying they're going to beat San Diego State. I don't think they do. But Caleb, because it's 6.5, it's a 3-possession game, I think they're in it. Give me New Mexico plus 6.5 on the road at San Diego State.
Now, JY, again, appreciate the picks there, but I do want to hit for the time that we have, because I want to get to a lot of the all-star stuff. Some of the Saturday slate in college, maybe some of the games that have your attention. I'll say this right now. Wisconsin, I know it's tough to win on the road. I think they got to get one here against Iowa. Look-ahead line has them as a short 1.5-point favorite. Really interested to see if Kansas can finally grab one on the road. They're going to Oklahoma. There's a lot of games bigger than that, JY, but those are 2 spots where road, higher-ranked teams really could use it. What are you seeing for Saturday?
I do think those are 2 big games for road teams. I think there's a ton of games. Number one, this UConn-Marquette game is going to be a war. But I think this game goes under. It's 147.5, Kevin, and you got 2 teams that don't turn the ball over. They don't push the pace, and UConn defensively is outstanding. That 147.5 number, way too high. And then I'll go even lower. Houston, Texas is 131.5. Houston's starting to play better. It's the defensive end of the floor. 11.5, way too many points for Houston. I think I'm going to go with the under with that. But there are some interesting games. Iowa State, Texas Tech going to be a good one. TCU had a big spot, plus 1.5 at K-State. I think they can take that out. Miami, on their last legs. They got to get going. Illinois, second best team in the Big Ten. There's a lot of games. And then how about this one? In the 6 p.m., 7 p.m. hour, can Tom Izzo put the final nail in Juwan Howard's coffin with a blowout win? They already got him once. Does he get him again? I think so. Michigan is in a world of hurt. Not a lot of people talking about how bad of a job Juwan has done. Does he get let go after the season?
I'll tell you a game that I'm circling up right now, and it's this Alabama-Texas A&M game, and I'm looking to take the points with the Aggies catching 9.5. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of this Bama team. They've really turned it on in conference play, 9-2 overall, currently sitting as the top team in this conference here, and I think the world of the SEC, this is a lot of points. The tempo this is going to be played, Wade Taylor, JY, has the potential to break out for a 25, 30-point game and keep A&M in margin all game long.
Absolutely. And you know Buzz will have that team ready to play, and they're going to really battle. Listen, Alabama probably wins, but you're right. Way too many points in that matchup. I do agree with you 1,000%. Texas A&M should get the cover in that game.
All right, we're coming up against the break here on SportsGrid. Coach is going to stick around. We're going to go through our All-Star game selections here. Side, total, Saturday. JY's got a strong take on Sabrina versus Steph as well. We'll get into that next right here on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas, maybe in the future, to get Luka Doncic?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Sports Grid. Kevin Walsh joined by Coach James Young. We are going to go through All-Star Weekend. We're going to begin with tonight, which is the Rising Stars game. Team Pau, Team Tamika, Team Jalen, Team Detlef. There's actually been, not kidding, a lot of line movement in this market. Team Detlef is all the way back to 10-1 to win this. They are down to a 6.5-point dog in their game. They are plus 300 on the money line against Team Pau. Your total for this game is 72.5. Earlier in the day, it was 74, 75.5. So, and for anybody that doesn't know how this works, this is first to 40. Okay, so I will let you know, if you lay 6.5 with Team Pau, you're not going to get the over, really, because that's not, you're going to have to try and thread a needle there. That's not going to happen. You have to get the final score 40-33 to get the over and cover 6.5. You'd be hitting it by the hook. It's not going to work that way. Part of the reason the numbers have been moving today, because I think there were just some more vulnerable prices earlier on in the day. For those that are not familiar with the rosters, here's what I'll give it to the simplest version, Coach. Team Pau has Wemby and a bunch of rookies. Team Tamika has Paolo. Team Jalen has Chet Holmgren. Team Detlef is all G-Leaguers. I'm excited to watch them. You're excited to watch them. But the books think they have absolutely no chance tonight in their matchup with Team Pau.
And you know what, Kevin? That's why I like them. Because these are guys that are just trying to make it. And they got more to play for, Kevin. You know this, more than the rookie guys. So I'm going to take the Team Detlef plus the 6.5 over Team Paul. Just for the simple fact that I think they have more to play for. And I think you may get the rookies, with Wemby, they may screw around a little bit. And these kids are going to take this game very, very seriously. I'm going to take Team Detlef, take a chance, plus a 6.5.
So I initially wanted to play this game under, thinking if Team Pau flexed their muscle, right, they would be fine. But it's moved a lot. And so I'm a little torn on it now. Look, you kind of have to respect the movement a little bit. Last year's G League team lost by 8. What I will say is Team Pau is all rookies. Now, it's Brandon Miller, it's Tommy Hawkes, it's Wembanyama, but it is at least not a bunch of sophomores, which is the case for Team Tamika and Team Jalen. I tend to agree now, if I'm at this point with Coach, I think I would either take the 6.5 or I think I'll just play it over. 72.5 and hope this game can stay tight, right, in the race to 40. What I did do, JY, is I bet both Team Tamika plus 240 and Team Jalen at plus 310 to win this outright. Mm-hmm. I'm going to the finals automatically, and I'm taking my chances that they will either beat the G League team, who would be coming off of a sizable upset, or Team Pau, which, again, is basically all rookies. Rookies can beat sophomores. We know that. But there are some good sophomores here. If you made me only take one, it would probably be actually Team Tamika, Paolo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Keegan Murray. But I like enough of what Team Jalen brings to the table there, so I zoned in on the two middle teams, JY, to win this outright.
And I think you're making an outstanding point. And if you were to ask me who I thought it was going to win, I would say one of the sophomore teams, and I would lean towards Team Tamika. I think obviously Paolo Banchero, Jaden Ivey with Jalen Duren, Keegan Murray, Scoot has something to prove. Keontae George has had a really good year. People don't really talk about him enough. And I think Vince Williams is a sneaky good player. People don't talk about enough. I think it's a good way to play it, because you put it this way. If Team Detlef does beat Team Paul, they may have nothing left because they're going to throw everything at that first game, right? And then if you get Team Paul, they may score around and maybe they blow out like Team Detlef. I just think the two sophomore teams, I think, are better. So to me, to get them at plus 240, plus 310, either way, one of them is going to the finals. If one of them goes to the finals, you're not going to get those numbers again. It's going to drop in half. Yeah. So to me, I think it's a smart play there to go and take both of them with a chance for one of them to come out, because I think one of them will win it.
All right, JY, Saturday slate. We'll start with the dunk contest. Mac McClung is minus 190. I think you and I agree. I'm not going to lay minus 190. They've seen McClung before. It's going to be harder to impress the second time. I would bet Jaylen Brown. All-Stars don't show up to this thing. The fact that Jaylen Brown has decided to do this, and it's not like it's in Boston, right? It's not like it's in his hometown. It's in Indiana. The fact that he's doing this means he really wants to do it. he might have a better chance at getting more star-studded help as well. I would be betting Jaylen Brown, coach, at plus 420.
I can understand it, and they're not. I know he's minus 190. They're not giving it to Mac McClung. They gave it to him last year, right? So I don't think he's winning it. So now it comes down to the next three guys, right? And Jaime Jaquez, who I didn't even know even had bounce like this until this year, he ain't winning it. So to me, it's Jaylen Brown and Jacob Toppin. I just have a hunch that it's going to be Jacob. He's a high flyer. I think he's more freakishly athletic, and he's shorter than Obi. So if he's got the athleticism that Obi does, I think it shows better. Because I think, Kevin, guards have advantages in the dunk contest over bigs because of the height difference. I do like Jacob Toppin, and I'm going to take the plus money that he goes out and wins it.
I would say if you're willing to fade, McClung and Jaquez, right? You just pair Toppin and Jaylen Brown in the middle. I have no issue with that either. Let's get to the shooting, JY. You're taking a chance on Trae Young to win the three-point contest?
You know what? This is one of these ones where you can literally make a case for everyone, except, ready, folks? I'm a Knicks fan. I don't think Brunson wins it. But you can make a case for every one of those guys, probably not Malik Beasley. You can make a case for every one of those guys to win it. I just got a hunch with Trae. Like, I got a hunch that he's going to shoot the ball really well. I think this is a big moment. And I think he gets so disrespected by so many people for his game. You know, and I know, Caleb, we're both big Trae guys. One way to shut it down, show that you're the best shooter in the world. I think Trae takes his person tonight. I'm going to take Trae plus 600 to win three-point contest.
I don't mind that look at all, Coach. I am not playing anyone outright. And in fact, the way I am playing the three-point contest is either going to be everyone's least favorite thing they've ever heard or they're going to love it. But over on DK, they have how many starry shots each player will make in round one. If your reaction to that is what? Understandable. It is basically each guy gets 2 attempts from Lillard range in their round. Last year, 5 out of the 8 made 0. I bet every single guy to make 0. Every single, because the results are either 0, 1, or 2. So it's almost all plus money. There are a few minus, Larry Marketing, Donovan Mitchell. But I took every single guy, Coach, to make 0 starry shots in their round. I'm invested in every single guy. Last year, the math worked out here. I could go 500 on this with the plus money that factors in, and I can make money here. So that's why I'm fading the deep shots here from everybody else. I think it's out of rhythm, too, right? You think about where the racks are, right? It's 5 in a row, step, 5 in a row, step. All right, go all the way back. And you're rushing. When you have to hit a shot like that, you don't want to rush. So that's how I'm playing. Again, all 8 guys to make 0 starry shots. And you see the prices there. JY, break down this matchup, though. Sabrina Ionescu, Steph Curry. What do you like?
I like Sabrina. And Kevin, it's at least on FanDuel, it's moved. I think Sabrina was plus 200 earlier in the day. She's down to plus 164. She's starting to trend because people understand. I've told people it's a story all day on the network, even yesterday. I watched Sabrina Ionescu shoot at Oregon in a game that they call red light, green light, where you have to miss 2 in a row. The girl shot for 35 minutes, and I walked out of the gym. She was still going. I've seen her shoot. She's outstanding. I think she pulls an upset and beats Steph Curry. And it's amazing because Sabrina now, if she makes 6 shots in a row, she's minus 210. Folks, just do yourself a favor. Go watch Sabrina this year, I should say, in the WNBA three-point shootout. She says she's shooting it from the NBA line. We'll see if that's what happens. She can shoot it from the WNBA line. She's got a lot of pride. I know she's been working out. Sabrina Ionescu upset Steph Curry tomorrow night.
So I don't mind that. I was struggling to find my pick, and I think the movements made it easier for me. I'm not picking anyone to win the event. I find it a bit difficult. Value-wise, right? The total combined score, JY, was 45.5. So for those that don't know, there are 40 possible points available to each shooter. Now, 6 of those are the starry shots, and it's hard to come by. Steph's best ever round in a three-point contest is 31, okay? I think, Sabrina, 37 last year? I'm telling you, she's not going to have 37 this time. It's moved up 48.5. This has no chance to go over if one of them has a bad round. If one of them, and that's kind of what I've been trying to figure out, JY, right? Look, if they are both absolutely miraculous and both go for 30 plus, that's great. Good for them, hat tip. But you now need a near average of 25 apiece in order for this to get there. If one of them has 19, you need a 30-point round from the other. I think I'm going to take the total combined score under 48.5 for Sabrina versus Steph.
And then it gets magnified by the money ball. And I think that you make some of these shots are worth more than others. And then that's where it gets really critical. And I think you're right. Yeah, listen, would the NBA love this to go over? Absolutely. But you need two to tango. And it honestly depends on if one of them gets off to a hot start, the other one may freeze up a little bit. I think that's a good play, especially how it's going up, go down.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to probably fade that move there, play that under 48.5. We're hitting a break. We'll come back. We'll go to the big event, the All-Star game on Sunday, and then reset some of your outright markets here next on SportsGrid.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas, maybe in the future, to get Luka Doncic?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back right here, Game Time Decisions, closing out the All-Star Weekend discussion. East versus West, JY. Starting lineups. We don't even actually know, at least I haven't found it, who's going to start in replace of Joel Embiid. Maybe Bam Adebayo. If it is Bam, let's just say, he would be surrounded by Tatum, Lillard, Halliburton, and Giannis. Out west, it is LeBron, Luka Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Nikola Jokic. Your reserves, key names in the West, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, AD, Kawhi. In the East, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, and Trae Young. JY, how do you feel about the All-Star game?
I hate it. I hate it. As a coach, I hate it. I'm not going to lie. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it and think. And here's the thing, folks. The over-under is 364.5. It probably goes over. I can't touch it. I literally can't touch a side in the total. I can't think about it because there's no defense. And 364.5 is nuts. I may play it live, Kevin. Hope that they get off to a slow start because you know it starts to crank up really, really quick. But as for me, MVP, I ain't taking any of the guys you're taking or you mentioned. I'm taking Ant Edwards 10-1 to be All-Star Game MVP. I think there could be a changing of the guard. I look at the fact that you got guys that can go get their own shot and create are the ones that are the most dangerous in this game. Plus, the lane's going to open up because no one's going to block shots. You can go a lot of different ways, folks. There's so many guys. I think Giannis is the best at 6-1. Right now on FanDuel, he's at 6.5-1 to be MVP. So you can take multiple guys, like 2 guys a team, and hit. But I'm going to go with Ant Edwards at 10-1. Just a hunch that he's the All-Star Game MVP.
My thing with Ant that I don't know. I think it's part of the reason I'm on the East to win the game. I'll explain that more in a bit. But he's not starting, and you're getting 10-1 on a guy not starting, right? Steph's 850, not starting. I'm not saying that these guys can't get minutes, but well, LeBron's 7-1, he is starting. So is LeBron the guy that's making way for Ant Edwards? Well, possibly, but aren't people booking the West as favorites because of LeBron? Here's the one thing I will say. Tyrese Halliburton's odds of continuing to drop. He's down to 8-1. I think a part of that is Tyrese Halliburton is home for this game. It's in Indiana. The All-Star Game record for assists is 22 by Magic Johnson. It happened in an overtime game. They also played a lot more. I hope they hang a Halliburton assist prop. Specials. I expect 15 assists from Halliburton in this game. But that's why I'm betting Giannis. Giannis running alongside Halliburton, JY, legitimate chance for 20-plus, multiple 20-plus point quarters. And he's the favorite, and I know he's the favorite, but that's why I'm on him. Again, we'll watch this play out. I'll add this last thing. I'm on the over in the game, 364. Back when it was East-West, the last 2 of them, 369, 374. Listen, folks like JY turn into the All-Star game, they get upset. Folks like me, I tune in, I go, oh, it's beautiful. Look at them go. Up and down, up and down, up and down. It's poetry in motion, all right? So you tell folks like JY to get off your lawn and you enjoy beautiful, beautiful basketball. Because it is the All-Star game, JY, and there's a reason why Tony Allen was never invited, nor OG Anunoby, or none of other Tom Thibodeau's favorite players.
I love OG Anunoby. Poetry in motion. Hey, it's like Milli Vanilli. That's what I think about poetry in motion. That's a poetry in motion. If y'all know what Milli Vanilli is, you're just way younger than me, which Kevin is, so he may not even know who I'm talking about. But that's okay. Listen, you know what I want, K-Dub? This is what I want for all season. Ready? I want USA versus the world. I want USA versus the world in an All-Star game. You get that, you get my attention. And right now, the world team would beat the USA team. I'm sorry, I would say it.
I would be interested. I think you would get a lot more effort from people, which will be nice. By the way, Giannis has shorter odds to score 50 in this game than win the MVP. So if you want to talk about value, they are hanging the market for assists is 10+. They're not hanging Tyrese in the market.
No, only him and SGA and Trey. and Trey's at plus money. So, I mean, it's how about this? How about LeBron A+ assists at plus 275?
Is he going to play enough?
But get guys in the mix, right? Like, I don't think that's bad. LeBron can get 8 assists in the first 6 minutes of the game. I know he won't.
Yeah.
But he's so old. Like, does he really want to go out there and like score 30 points? Or does LeBron want to sit there and be like, yo, let me dime this guy out. Let me dime that guy out. You know what I'm saying? His over-under points is 12.
Points props. He's not scoring 25 in this game. He doesn't care anymore. Or was last year a fake out?
But I think that's my point is like, I don't think he scores a ton. I think he's at an age where he's like, yo, I want to enjoy myself. Let me dime and and get these other guys in the mix. That's why I keep seeing that 8+ assists at plus money. And I'm like, plus 275. Like, I can see, I mean, how about this? Kevin, 2 less assists. LeBron, 6+ assists, plus 158.
How many assists do they think Halliburton is going for?
Oh,
they're not even hanging.
Kevin, you made the point. It's in Indiana. I think he's going to try and get 15 to 20. I mean, if they're not hanging it at 10 plus, he's got to be what, 15 plus?
Like, we're not even going to get a market? Like, that's how worried they are?
No, they're scared. They're scared.
But they can only win. They can only win. They're not hanging nose, so nobody's going to bang them on an under. They just hang the 14 plus.
Well, how about this? If they did 15 plus, even money, I'd still take over. Wouldn't you?
So would I. Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. They'd probably do 15 plus like minus 130.
We might be wrong. That's a ridiculous amount of assists. We might be wrong. I don't think we are. But we might be.
Kevin, we're never wrong. What do you mean we might be wrong? I'd like this people in the audience said, we're not wrong.
I have another
if
question for you.
It's their fault.
I have another question for you.
Okay.
What do you think of the fact that Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, again, I'll get into this because we only have a limited amount of time. I'm not going to get to everything I want to with Coach. It's fine. But Luka and Nikola Jokic, points prop, 7.5 for Jokic, 10.5 for Luka. Like, the idea is they just don't care? Like, that is the idea. And it is backed up by their appearances in this game, but it is remarkable.
It really is. I mean, Luka 15 plus points is at plus 176 on FanDuel. Like, Luka's going to, all right, so 10.5 for Luka, like, he's going to shoot a couple of threes, right? Like, Luka can get 4 threes in a quarter. He got 4 threes in 4 possessions. So to me, like, that's the other thing. They haven't hung it yet. I want to see, like, 3-pointers because guys are just going to bomb away.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I want to see the 3-point market. They haven't come out with it yet. Let's wait till tomorrow. Maybe they do it, but that would be something I'd be very interested in. And Luka, guys that can really shoot the ball. Dame time. How many threes? Ant Edwards. Like, even something like a Tyrese Maxey. And that's the other thing. Like, do you start looking at, if you look at all the guys that are listed, the only one that's points prop that's plus money for the over is Tyrese Maxey, and it's 11.5. Like, does he get enough playing time that he cooks? Like, this guy's playing for money. I mean, maybe Maxey 11.5 plus 102 may not be a bad play.
No, it's not. I don't mind Maxey. I mean, Brunson, if he plays, is going to just shoot a bunch of threes. 11.5 isn't bad. It's not. But what do you think about the Halliburton points at 18.5? This is what we're going to do. I don't care. What do you think of the Halliburton? 18.5 points.
I ain't touching it because I think he's going to get like 4. He may get 50 assists. I think this is the kind of game where he's going to show off. Yeah, but I think he's going to be throwing alley-oops to Giannis. He'll be throwing alley-oops to Bam. Like, I mean, shoot. He may throw an alley-oop to Brunson. Brunson can dunk, by the way. People don't know that. But I do think, for me, I want to see when they hang an assist prop for Halliburton. I'm just shocked that they haven't hung it up somewhere. Kato, we got to go looking. someone's got to have an assist prop up for Halliburton, right? Nobody's got it up. No books.
I'm on DK right now, and there's like some player specials. Halliburton and Mitchell each for 15 plus is plus 150. Tatum and Lillard to combine for 50 points and 10 assists is plus 200. I don't hate that. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. For the combos, Maxey, Young, Giannis, Durant, LeBron to combine for 75, plus 135. I don't trust LeBron here. That's my issue.
Yeah.
I don't trust LeBron.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch anything. Like, there was like LeBron 30 plus, but Tatum 30 plus 800. Like, I can't touch anything with LeBron with
I got one for you.
How about the crazy one?
Here you go.
How about Durant, SGA? If they Halliburton scores, Halliburton, SGA, Durant, 25 plus, 25-1.
How about this one? That's much shorter, but this will work for you, I think. SGA and Ant Edwards to combine for 40 points, plus 155.
Done. You keep talking. I'm going to go put that in right now. I'm sorry, folks. I got to put that in. No.
Jokic for a double-doubles plus 225. That isn't terrible. If he just accidentally tries for the game, I don't hate that.
Wait, Kevin, how about Durant, Booker, Ant, 15 plus 205?
Durant, Booker,
Ant.
For how much?
15 plus 205.
Each?
15 plus each. 205.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah,
now I'm worried. Now I'm interested in Jokic is now. See, now I'm going to end up wasting money on this Jokic triple-double.
I just looked at it. 8-1? You got to figure, you got to play it. Like, he's not going to shoot it. The thing about this, Kevin, is the one thing you worry about Joker with the triple-double is the points. He's going to get the assist and the rebounds. It's the points. Can he get the 10?
Yeah, that's the problem is you're not getting. You're like, I don't even think you're getting value at 8-1.
No,
10 rebounds, he's plus 235 on
Kevin,
on the other book.
Kevin, I'm just trying to find the one you were telling me about. I can't find it. Oh, there it is.
What,
SGA, Halliburton, 40. Oh, I'm done, sold. I'm in there like swimwear. I'm already in.
SGA's prop is 16.5. Why is that his number? Oh, wait a minute now. That seems like the steal of the show. SGA 16.5. Why is it lower than Ant? Is Ant from Indiana? I know he's not from Indiana.
That boy don't like he's from Indiana. I don't think he's from Indiana. He'll look like an Indiana boy. He's Southern boy.
He's from Atlanta. I think that's why he went to Georgia. All right.
That's
That's Coach James Young. What a break. Awesome.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. If they win. Fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game can take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas, maybe in the future, to get Luka Doncic?
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early
The
line.
magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Coach James Young. JY, any truth to the idea that Doc Rivers is going to be trying to run out an A-plus lineup all game because of how badly he needs a win for the Eastern Conference All-Stars?
Yeah. Shout out to Doc Rivers, you jabroni. I took you guys minus the points last night, and you guys laid an egg and lost outright.
That's on you.
That is on me. I'll tell you what, Doc Rivers, I got a word for you, bro. I can't wait for you to mess that franchise up. Oh, that's right. You already have. So you were good. You were pretty good early in your career. But you messed up the Celtics. You didn't win enough. You messed up the Clippers. You messed up the Sixers. You're going to mess up the Bucks. And watch you mess up the All-Star game. Watch one of your players gets hurt because you play him too many minutes. I'm calling it right now.
So, did you call him bro?
I mean, I could call him a jabroni. I could call him a lot of other things, but I don't know if Cardano's listening. I don't want to get in trouble tonight.
All right, there you go. How do you feel about the East right now? Have you come around that the Cavs are being disrespected?
Cavs. The Cavs are so. Why are people thinking that the Cavs are going to make a run in an Eastern Conference? I think they're so overrated.
I'll tell you one of the main reasons, because Donovan Mitchell is far more deserving of all of the MVP buzz people keep giving to Jalen Brunson.
All right, see, you know what? This guy's trying. Hey, Friezo, this guy's trying to get me all fired up already. See, and he's doing a damn good job. No, he's not. Plus, Donovan Mitchell doesn't even want to be there. That's why Cleveland didn't make enough moves to the deadline, because they know Donovan Mitchell is going to ask himself out. Donovan Mitchell, you know what Donovan Mitchell wants? He wants to play with Jalen Brunson. But guess what? As a Knicks fan, I don't want you. I don't want you. Too small a backcourt. Too soy pequeño. The two of them together, not going to work.
Folks.
I don't want him. I don't want him.
If you want to know how bad the Knicks hype has gotten, Coach just said he doesn't want Donovan Mitchell.
Friezo agrees with me. And Koski.
This week on Game Time. We'll be right back. My goodness. Back right here on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh with you on a Friday night. Still a lot to get to on this Friday night edition. Brady Cannon's going to stop by with the Tiger Woods withdrawal from the Genesis Invitational. Give us the latest around that. We're also going to have Dave Sharapan in the mix here as we get set for this weekend's action, All-Star Weekend and everything else, and as well as Zach Barnes, who's going to come by once again here, help us with UFC 298, Volk in action, and we'll break that down. But we will begin with a Saturday Soccer SGP from Davis Maddock.
All right, guys, we have another same-game parlay over on the FanDuel Sportsbook, but with the NBA in their off period for the All-Star break, we are going to tune to Saturday morning in the English Premier League, and we are going to go to Fulham versus Aston Villa. Villa is at home in this one, and we are going to take Villa on the money line. You should be able to get that right around plus 140, and then we are also going to add on over 2.5 goals in this match. Both of these teams have been pretty free scoring over the last month of the season. A couple 5-goal games for Fulham, but Villa is the form side here. They are sitting 5th in the table right now. And then we are going to also tack on Ollie Watkins as an anytime goal scorer. He is 78th percentile in the English Premier League in non-penalty goals. He's also 95th percentile in assists in the English Premier League for forwards, which tells me he's getting into great attacking spots here. And this 3-leg same game parlay is going to give us plus 387 odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Aston Villa on the money line, over 2.5 goals in the match, and Ollie Watkins as an anytime goal scorer. Good luck on Saturday morning, everybody.
All right, appreciate the breakdown there from Davis Maddock, live with you on SportsGrid, including SiriusXM. Channel 159, it's Game Time Decisions. So I mentioned being on the Eastern Conference All-Star team. And this, to me, is the situation. If this was the NBA Finals, I get it. You look at that West roster. LeBron, Steph, Durant, Kawhi, Jokic, Luka, Devin Booker, Ant Edwards, Paul George. It's loaded. It is absolutely loaded. It is a championship roster. This isn't the NBA Finals. It's the All-Star game. And it's about effort. The average age of the Western Conference All-Star team is 29.8. The average age of the Eastern Conference All-Star team is 25.7. I find that to be incredibly relevant when we try and figure out who is going to care. Because we saw LeBron last year, hat tip, thanks, I'm a part of the ceremony, but this isn't the end-all be-all for me anymore. Steph is 35. Durant is 35. Luka is known to not care about this game. And the same is true of Nikola Jokic. So that leaves, literally, SGA as the only person of the entire top 6 of the Western Conference All-Stars that I can't point to and go, there's a legit chance you don't care about this. That's concerning, and people are laying 3 in this scenario. When you take a look, last year, Giannis basically missed the game. Was up against it, right? Because he had the back injury, came in, dunked it, subbed out. Giannis and Damian Lillard are playing for their head coach in Doc Rivers. I got to be honest with you. Doc could use a win. I know that might sound ridiculous. It's not. Things are going poorly in Milwaukee right now. So if you're Giannis, if you're Dame, you go get him one. You do. It would help. If you're Tyrese Halliburton, this matters. You're home. This game's in Indiana. Tyrese is going to try. What about everybody behind him? Excuse me. Jason Tatum, by the way, rounding out that starting lineup, owns the career high for most points in an All-Star game. You think Bam Adebayo is going to try? You think Paolo Banchero? What about Scotty Barnes? Jalen Brunson, finally here. Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell. That, to me, is the biggest gap that we have here for this All-Star game. And I'm getting 3 points. I don't think the points are actually going to come down to it. If this is a West win by 1, 2, or 3, it would be stunning. In fact, if it was a West win by 4, 5, or 6, it would also be pretty surprising. It's likely going to be decided by 8 or more, right? But to get the Eastern Conference All-Stars at this price, for me, I know they're not going to be booked as the favorites. The roster gap is obvious. But I think there's also a big gap that we can find in expectations from who's going to be putting effort forward, which then goes to the All-Star Game MVP. I'm on Giannis at plus 650. I'm on Luka at 19-1. Donovan Mitchell 22-1. And I am sure the Luka one is the one that stands out because I keep talking about Luka not trying, and I keep talking about being on the East. But as JY said, the numbers are long enough that you can take some shots on the other side of the field if you need to. And for me, if the West is actually going to show up here and get the job done, Luka has to be a part of that. I know that's a big reason why people are trying to line up Ant Edwards. I mean, it is remarkable that Ant and Steph are so far up the board for All-Star Game MVP without either being in the starting lineup. Like, if this is how the Western Conference All-Stars are going to act, this is going to be a 15-point lead at the end of the first quarter. It is. That's what we're trending towards. But Luka, who has the most points scored in a game this year, right, with his 70-plus that he put up on Atlanta, if he wants, could easily hit 12 threes in this game and score 50 points. And if he does, then the West has a great chance to win, and he's, of course, going to win Western Conference or is going to win the All-Star Game MVP. It's as simple as that. Donovan Mitchell is me taking a long shot. I think Donovan Mitchell should be a starter for the East. I think Donovan Mitchell has the chance to play starter-ish level minutes because of the fact that Embiid is out. You know, this team is not just going to play Bam Adebayo 30 minutes because he's the true backup center, right? Scotty Barnes isn't going to be playing 30 minutes, right, with just because, you know, he's slotting in and is on the taller side. That's not how this is going to work. Donovan Mitchell's going to get way more minutes than projected. The big reason I love Giannis here, first of all, we're kind of due for a repeat winner in 4 years since. Repeat winners happen, you know, semi-regularly when it comes to this. It is the game that is decided by the elite of the elite, and we know that Giannis fits that description. And I think playing alongside Halliburton is a huge boost. I mean, you look at the props. I mean, Giannis's points props 28.5, and rightfully so. He just dunks everything, right? He's out in transition the whole game, and playing with Halliburton is going to be huge. I really expect Tyrese Halliburton to finish with 15-plus assists. I think it's hard for him to win MVP that way, though. If he goes 25 and 20, okay, maybe, right? Which he might. But again, if he has 20 assists, I might get 45 out of Giannis. So for me, that's where I'm going to try my hand with this All-Star game. Lastly, I'm on the over. We've talked about it, but this game, when it was last East-West, 369 and 374, with the pace that we play at here, I mean, this game is going to be, I think people are going to be, there might be 160 points on the board at the end of the first quarter. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. We'll be right back here. Brady Cannon joins us on Game Time Decisions.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where these Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in the 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win. Fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of casts off and steal a game, his name is Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas, maybe in the future, to get Luka Doncic?
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, Kevin Walsh joined again by Zach Barnes, who was with us yesterday breaking down hoops. Tonight, Zach, talking a little UFC 298. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Kev. I am really excited for this card. There's just so much star power on this. I mean, from top to bottom, there hasn't been a main card probably this good in several months for the UFC, so I expect this one to be heavily watched.
All right, let's start at the top then. Alexander Volkanovski, a name that a lot of people know, minus 122 against Ilia Topuria, who's at a plus 100 here. I was telling you, again, I see Volk. I expect a heavier price. Why do you think the number sits the way it does?
I think the number sits the way it does because of a couple of factors. One, Alexander Volkanovski coming off of that pivotal loss where he tried to go for the double championship against Islam Makhachev. That was probably the best we've ever seen Makhachev do. So you can't really be torn by that immediately. But I think the biggest thing here, Kev, is the fact that Topuria is 14-0. And when casual people who, maybe don't watch the sport as much but love to bet on Saturday nights get involved with this, they see an undefeated guy at plus money, and that starts to just, trickle people in and get them super interested. But by the same token, I think that there is value in Topuria in this. I just personally like Volkanovski from an experience perspective and from a perspective of if we get into those championship rounds, I don't think Topuria will have the same gas tank as the former Warilla Gorilla rugby star who has now just made MMA his absolute bread and butter. But this fight going to be a lot of fun, Kev. If you want a good bout at featherweight, this is exactly what you're going to get. But for Alexander Volkanovski, that number right now around minus 130 or so, depending on where you look, I mean, he's gained value, a 12% increase on his line from when this opened at around minus 175. I personally think that Volk is one of the most underrated athletes on the planet. So clearly, I'm very much psyched about the fact that there's going to be a little bit less of the juice on this line. Throughout the duration of his career, we've only seen Volk gain value one time, and that was against Yair Rodriguez, who was just a massive dog coming into the contest. But yeah, those championship rounds, I think they will be the dictator if we get there, but we got to watch out for the hooks from Ilia Topuria. I mean, they carry so much power, both from the left and right hand.
When you think about how this fight could end, I mean, you can tell the books, I mean, even the submission numbers being respected, right? But knockout or the distance, but neither heavily juiced. The total for the fight, the over-under for rounds, for those that aren't accustomed to betting it, 3.5 is the number. That's 3 rounds, and then 2.5 minutes into round number 4. It's minus 128, yet the fight to go the distance, the no is minus 174. So when you think about how, whoever you feel is going to get this done, how do you expect this to ultimately finish out?
Oh, man, I think it'll be Volkanovski by decision in the end. I think that both guys are going to trade some really powerful shots, but I don't know if it's going to be the kind of finisher that we expect. look, I think if Topuria is going to win this fight, he has to win by KO, TKO. So you're almost better off just taking that value or going for the double chance and getting him at decision and also with that knockout victory. But I think that submission, like you said, those numbers are respectable, but it would definitely be very unconventional for both of these guys to finish with the sub. I think if anyone is more likely to do so, it's probably Topuria from a perspective of just his jiu-jitsu being so refined and so polished, whereas there's much more of a pure wrestling base from Volk to begin with.
It's interesting. Topuria to land a knockdown priced at minus 125 or minus 110, which is not bad. Let me ask you about another fight here. I'm going to skip down a little bit, bantamweight. But I see Henry Cejudo's in action against Merab. Is this a fight you're interested in?
Absolutely. I'll be honest. I think the casuals out there are not going to enjoy this, but as a former high school wrestler myself, yeah, big accomplishment, slight flex, right? This is going to be a wrestling battle from start to finish, undoubtedly. There's a reason they call Merab Dvalishvili the Machine, and it is because he's just got a motor unlike anybody. I'm a huge Piotr Jan guy. I believe that he's a top 2 boxer in the sport right now, and to watch him just get pieced apart by Dvalishvili last time, 11 takedowns from Merab, that was a UFC record that is still going to stand, and I think will stand for a very long time. But we're going to see a lot of shots on both ends. Question is, do we see those diabolical knees from Henry Cejudo? I mean, that is sort of the kind of inkling here for anybody who is going with Triple C and going with the Olympic gold medalist, simply because he's got the ability to finish the fight, which we haven't seen from Merab really at all. He just has one finish in his last 9 fights. But Cejudo, always very interesting, kind of here, kind of there, made that comeback, did not look good personally in his last bout. But I think that overall, we're going to see a wrestling dominant contest, and it's why I like this one to go the distance, even though that is juiced up across a ton of sports books right now, somewhere in between minus 250 and minus 300. I think it's a safe bet. I think that Henry might have lost a little bit of that power, and Merab, we just know, is going to try to wear him down.
Yeah, look, I think every sport's different when it comes to betting, and sometimes you just have to lay juice. And at minus 310, I think, here's what I would say. I would always be cautious because the expectation is going to go to the cards. I personally would be worried about laying minus 235 with Merab, knowing we're going to the cards. That just worries me because you can sit there. If you've bet enough UFC fights or MMA fights, I should say, you've gone to the judges, thought you won, and went, uh-oh. Turns out I did not win that because that's how this goes. The fight underneath that, Zach, I know you're on as well. Anthony Hernandez here is a considerable favorite. Are you fading him?
I am, yeah, simply from the perspective of I think Roman Kopylov is one of the most electric young strikers in the sport right now. He's put together some highlight reel knockouts. Go on, give him a goog if you have to. I mean, they are just absolutely impressive. Head kicks, big shots from the top. This guy has got it going. Hernandez, though, the thing that worries me is something we just talked about, the wrestling, right? I mean, Hernandez averaging nearly 7 takedowns a fight. That's one of the highest in the middleweight division right now. But look across the corner, Kopylov, pretty good takedown defense, 92% historically against any and all takedowns. But this is Anthony Hernandez, a wrestling-based fighter that Kopylov has really never seen before in his last couple of contests. Both of these guys were able to handily put away guys like Josh Fremd and some others along the way. But I think that this contest is going to set a serious precedent for the next big riser there at middleweight.
And then I know the prelims as well. If we have time, I'll bring up Bobby Whitaker. But the prelims here, the top 2 fights, you're interested in the favorites, Amanda Lemos and then Marcos Rodrigo. Tell us a little bit about why you're on that.
Yeah, DeLima, Kev, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, for a lot of bettors, and I'm surprised that the line has not moved this much. So at the beginning of the day, if you looked at any sports book and you saw Jay Taffa, you're going to see the same exact thing later on. However, Justin Taffa, who was supposed to take this fight, ends up withdrawing because of an injury. Junior, his brother, is taking the fight on 1 day's notice. I mean, first off, we want to talk about rare. Taking a fight on 1 day's notice, extraordinary. This is a very rare fight, though, because it's the first time that someone's brother has bowed out and the ensuing brother has jumped in. I like DeLima just from the perspective of he's been, active training, still going. We've seen electric fights from him. He was able to hold his own a little bit with some of the top contenders in this division. Last time out against Derek Lewis, took that running knee right off the get-go. Fight was over very quick. I think he's ready to make a statement, and I ultimately think that just Junior Tafa doesn't have the right preparation for this fight. So even at minus 200, I think he's worth the play, especially for maybe a finish, because both of these guys at heavyweight, they do not go very far. In terms of Amanda Lemos, this is more about Mackenzie Dern for me. I just find her to be one of the most disappointing women's fighters as of late. She's an extremely skilled jiu-jitsu practitioner and really got the job done against Angela Hill. I will not deny that. But if we're looking at her track record beforehand, she's getting beat on the ground by other fighters with really just like a semi-wrestling base. So I have extreme concerns about Dern, and I think that ultimately it leads me to side with Lemos, who last time was absolutely dominated by Zhang Wei Li in a 5-round title fight that was arguably the most lopsided in the history of the sport. But I think that she bounces back with big fashion, and I think that it probably comes in the stand-up game where we've seen Dern be extraordinarily vulnerable, knocked down 4 times in that last loss of hers. So we want to be keeping it very, very conscientious, especially if you're a live bettor. If you start to see those hands flying from Lemos, it might be good to jump on her train.
I will add this quickly. The very first fight of the night, Miranda Maverick, I've bet on her before. She had a loss, came back, had a dominant win. If I know about UFC booking, she is there to beat Andrea Lee. I would get involved with that. Zach, we appreciate it so much. Brady Cannon up next.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas? Maybe in the future, they get Luka Doncic.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you right here. It's Game Time Decisions. Kevin Walsh, Brady Cannon. Brady, excited to talk the Genesis Invitational with you again. Unfortunately, though, we have to talk about Tiger. Now, I wasn't on this, so I am admittedly not as aware. I think somebody told me, though, that there was a Tiger make the cut boost somewhere, which isn't surprising. And you were kind of explaining yesterday, it's pretty hard to miss the cut at this event. It basically requires you to withdraw, and that's what happened with Tiger Woods. What's your takeaway from everything that played out today with Tiger?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, Patrick Cantlay, your leader, is kind of running away with this, so he's made it much easier to miss the cut, if you will, because he's at 13 under par and looking at a birdie on the 18th hole, which would get him to 14 under. So it's the top 50 players in ties and anyone within 10 shots of the lead. Well, there's a lot of guys that are at like even par, maybe +1, +2, and still in the top 50, yet they're like 16 shots off the lead. So there's actually going to be more guys that miss the cut because he's so far out in front. A lot of this field is not even within 10 shots. A lot more guys going to miss the cut than I thought when you and I spoke on Thursday. I thought you might have, half a dozen guys miss the cut, but Cantlay putting together another outstanding round, just separating himself. So as far as Tiger, really unfortunate. I guess he was not feeling well when he went to bed on Thursday night. He'd shot a 1 over par, played pretty well on Thursday, was good off the tee, didn't really do anything else that well. He wasn't really good putting, wasn't good around the greens, wasn't good on approach, but still managed to shoot nearly even par, just 1 over. He wasn't too far off the map and was playing okay today. He just made about a 7.5-foot putt to save par on the 6th hole, teed off on number 7, put it in the fairway, and those flu-like symptoms that he was having on Thursday night, I guess, came to a head, and he just said, I can't do it anymore. The good news here, Kevin, is it was not injury. It was not the back. It was not the ankle, the knee, what have you, the number of ailments we know that Tiger has had over the years. Apparently, it was none of that, just a simple illness here, a flu bug apparently, that he started to feel on Thursday night. And I guess he was drawing a little bit of a fever and just had enough by that tee shot on number 7 and had to pull out.
Yeah, it's tough, Brady, because I think with Tiger, kind of you see the withdrawal and you're right. We always go, it's got to be the back, the knee, one of those things. For this to be the illness is unfortunate. And I'm sure for him, again, it's the last thing he wanted was to pull out. Is the expectation the next time we see Tiger, the Masters, or do you think we see him pop up at another event or two before then?
I think we're going to see him before then, maybe the Players' Championship, which kind of is the next big deal, which comes up in just about exactly a month from now, mid-March, in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. That is the PGA Tour's signature event. Tiger has won it before. And before withdrawing from this event, prior to the Genesis Invitational, he said he wanted to try and play about once a month or so in preparation for the Masters. So that would mean maybe 2 more times we'd see him. But I think at least once. And like I say, the good news, and Tiger probably feels the same way. The good news is this is not something as far as injury, but more just, illness related. That's probably a little bit of a positive. And the fact that he did get in, 24 holes of golf or so, that's not the end of the world for this guy who needs probably as many competitive reps as he can possibly get in before making it to Magnolia Lane in early April.
No, all right, now I want to get to, you mentioned Cantlay running away with this thing. And this is, at least for me, kind of not something that I've necessarily seen while live looking at the odds. I'm sure you've seen it certainly a few times, but it makes for a really interesting betting scenario, Brady. Minus 165 right now on Patrick Cantlay. The next closest golfer is 12-1 Jason Day. You have 16-1 Xander Schauffele. And then it is 20-1 on Luke List and Scotty Scheffler. Usually when we talk golf betting value, it'll be on a Wednesday, and we're talking 100-1s, right? 120-1s. Is there value on minus 165 for Patrick Cantlay?
I have not penciled out the math and whatnot, and there probably is actually. A lot of times in these situations, when you get to the midway point of a golf tournament, the value really lies with it on the favorite. Now, do I want to lay minus 165 with 36 holes left to play? No, I really don't, even though it is probably his tournament to lose at this point. And Kevin, we talked about this on Thursday. Right now, Patrick Cantlay, at last look, and maybe if he hold that putt on 18, he moves back into the number one spot. But at last look, before he finished off on 18, he was number 2 in this field for strokes gained putting, gaining nearly 6.5 shots on the field with the putter. And we talked about how the putter can go sideways at any moment. It can get hot at any minute, and it can go cold at any minute. It's very unlikely that putter is going to remain that hot for all 4 days. I got to believe it's going to cool off a little bit on Saturday, and I got to believe it might cool off a little bit on Sunday. Well, if not one of the 2 days, both of the days possibly, and that could give some other guys some chance, like Jason Day, who's putting pretty well, gaining just over a stroke on the field right now. And historically, Jason Day is a much better putter than Patrick Cantlay. So maybe there is value on Day at 12-1. You look at Willie Zalatoris. He's doing everything well. About the only thing he's not doing well is getting up and down around the green, scrambling. He's, let's see, where is he? Is 65th in this field, 65th out of 69 players in scrambling, only getting up and down 5 of 11 times. But everything else is going very well, and he's probably 40 or 50-1 right now. So, I think there might still be value in guys that are in that 30, 40, 50-1 range. Tony Finau's playing well. I'll tell you one guy I would not want to back at this point, and that is Luke List. He's been playing beautifully, okay? He's technically second place, but, 5, maybe 6 shots off the lead, depending on what Cantlay did on 18. He is currently second in this field for strokes gained putting. And Luke List, great ball striker, great off the tee. Where does he rank on tour for putting? This season, he's 127th in strokes gained putting, and last year he was 189th in strokes gained putting. Almost dead last on tour last year in putting. So, again, like we talked about, that putting it's a pendulum, and it can swing back and forth in a hurry. So I would not expect the putting to continue to be as hot as it is currently for Luke List. He would be a guy I'd be staying away from.
I want to ask you about one name specifically, and that's Scotty Scheffler. Because, look, again, Scotty is always booked very strongly going into these tournaments. He is at the minute 4 under, right? And it looks like Cantlay finished up at 13 under. It looks like he ended up parring on
making
18.
a par. Yeah.
That is 9 shots back. And again, the tough thing too, right, is Patrick Cantlay is not just it'd be different if it was maybe Luke List, right, who was 5 shots up on the field. Cantlay is one of the premier names. Scotty Scheffler is 20-1. The next closest golfer who has that same score, right, 4 under, 9 back, Max Homa, is 60-1.
Yep.
How do you even get to a number like that on Scotty, 9 shots back?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Kevin, and I think there is clearly value on Homa in that situation. This is a guy who's won this tournament before, who knows this golf course as well as anybody, probably like Patrick Cantlay, a couple of California kids. Max Homa, a great putter on Poana grass. He won at Torrey Pines, another Poana putting surface. So I would find, I'd be much more comfortable having 60-1 on Homa at this point. 20-1 on Scotty Scheffler. You're paying a tax there for the number one player in the world, for the name, for what he's capable of. But again, here's a guy who for 2 straight days has been awful with the putter. And unfortunately, there's probably not much of an upside with that putter for Scheffler. That has just been his only Achilles heel. He does everything else so well. I saw him miss a 5-foot putt today. It looked like a sure birdie. I mean, he's so good on approach. He stuffs that ball in there every single hole, it seems, and has a look at birdie from anywhere from 7 to 20 feet, it seems, every hole. And he just can't make that many unless he just shoves it in there to 2 feet. So, no, I would not want 20-1 on Scotty Scheffler. I really think you're paying a premium for that. I would look for a little there's not many unknowns in this field. Corey Connors is a guy that looks pretty good and typically, is a little bit under the radar, under the big names like Jordan Spieth and Jason Day and Scheffler. But Connors shot 65 today. That's the other thing when handicapping this going into the weekend. I don't like to bet on guys that went really low one day because that's hard to do twice in a row. I like to look at guys that have been steady so far. Maybe they went low on day 1. They kind of came back down to earth on day 2, and you just want them to be nice and even keel through the weekend, maybe shooting 4 under or so, get themselves in the mix. Nothing that, is one end or the other of the spectrum. You kind of want guys to be on an even keel. Patrick Cantlay, he's on one end of the spectrum with the putter and really everything else. Some of it's probably going to come back to the pack a little bit on this difficult of a golf course. So try and find those. I think Willie Z's a good candidate. I think Jason Day's a good candidate. But maybe some of the little lesser known names are probably where the value lies.
Awesome stuff there. That is Brady Cannon helping us break down the Genesis Invitational on Game Time Decisions. We'll be back after this quick break.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, gave BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game can take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas? Maybe in the future, they get Luka Doncic.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early
magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back with you here. It's Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh, joined by Dave Sharapan, the consig. Dave, very important first question. What are you wearing? Can't figure it out.
We're getting ready for the outdoor hockey game, Stadium Series. New Jersey Devils tomorrow. Rangers Islanders on Sunday.
Okay.
Just stay ready, K-Dub, because I got a guy. He said, listen, I might have four. I'll pick you, DRS.
Really?
We'll go to the outdoor game. We'll bundle you up because I know you're fighting it, but these outdoor games get hockey people excited. This will be fun.
All right, there we go. So I was rocking the devil stuff. Question one, we're going golf. Wow. Do you think sports books will just pay Tiger if he ever even considers retiring because of how much money he continuously makes them?
Oh, my goodness. Golf handle went up in immeasurable amounts when Tiger was rolling. And people that didn't bet on golf came and bet on Tiger every single week. It was unbelievable. And then, he had the car accident and all the hope was that he would just come back. And when he comes back, handles up. Business is booming when Tiger's playing.
Yeah.
Listen, they paid the king. Somebody paid the king and made a deal. They might pay Tiger too, right? I'm saying, LeBron got a bag and is talking about the crown, and Tiger is the real king. Golf betting had to change because of Tiger Woods. It wasn't enough to just offer outrights. It wasn't enough to just offer matchups. You needed to get more money from the book's perspective and offer different markets. And now it's out of control. You just had Brady Cannon on. He's a golf guy, a real ball striker. Mike Carver, another one. Cam Stewart, another one. I mean, they got it on lock on SportsGrid.
Yeah.
But the golf betting is crazy, K-Dub. Do you golf? I'd like to see you on the range. You don't golf?
Never golfed. No.
Man, I bet you could hit a golf ball, brother. Oh,
yeah.
strong.
I think
like
I could.
you, I bet you could nail a golf ball.
I do think I could send one, but yeah, I had a buddy. I've told you about him. When a text comes through, you might have to zag. It all depends on the.
Uh-oh. What'd he say?
And there was this Tiger Boost, right, the other day. Now, the Tiger Boost was money. It was 3 birdies in his opening round, minus 280 to plus 100. You bet that every time. All
Absolutely.
good. He goes, you put whatever on that, and the winnings, you just throw it on him to win. Now, I'm not going to do that. All right? Because that's a waste. That's a waste. Okay?
The second part,
a waste.
The second part was no good. The first part was good, but the second part, they're no good.
Great.
No good.
The second part was no good. So there's that. Let me ask you this. This
sir.
All-Star game, right?
Yeah.
The weekend as a whole, right? Are you hearing more buzz around it? Less? Like, is the same? Anything?
It's a shame because the 3-point shootout has eclipsed the dunk contest. And you really, in Vegas, we never really booked a dunk contest because, you had guys just throwing up numbers, a 9, a 10. There was no real validity to the actual scoring. So we're like, we can't book this. But the last couple of years that I was in the risk room, and even when I was at the different counters and stuff, when it comes on the television, there's an actual hey, this is on. Can I come bet it? So books have to offer it. The 3-point shootout did more handle than the game did one year. because it was a roster of people that were looking. Everybody was looking to beat the favorite, just like a horse race, right? Who's going to beat Steph? Is it going to be Dirk? Is it going to be, I think Clay was in it against him one year. I forget. But the alternate guys, nobody likes to lay the chalk. K-Dub, you know that. They don't like to play the favorite.
No.
I don't know if the buzz is there this year that it has been in years past. It's too close to the Super Bowl. The NFL season was extended another week. We're all coming off of Vegas. There's usually a week in between to build up to the buzz. It's within the same week. Plus, Jaromir Jagr's numbers getting retired on Sunday in Pittsburgh, and that's the biggest story of Sunday. Forget the All-Star.
No, it's this. Now, I mean, how many other teams is he going to have to get his number retired with?
Listen, you always remember your first. All right, you everybody remembers their first, and he was first a Penguin, always a Penguin. Won his first Stanley Cup with the Penguins. You guys had him in New York. They had him in Washington. They had him probably. I think he has like 8 jerseys. You're right, but Penguins, big deal to put up 68 up in the rafters. That's a big deal on Sunday.
There you go.
What about the total in the All-Star game, K-Dub?
We're back.
Over.
We're back. We're back.
It's always over.
Ending. We're back. Here's what I don't understand, though. You know what I don't understand, Dave? Why people still complain about the lack of defense in the NBA All-Star game.
Oh,
what the heck are people?
Right.
I don't understand what we're doing here. Like, why? I'll tell you this. I'm on the East, though. I'm on the East.
You're on the East.
Yeah. I'm the guy.
You're a West Coast guy by heart. Your guys are out West. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
So here's the interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
If you line up the rosters, the West is like 6 points better. If you're legit grading them.
No question. I'm surprised by you.
But LeBron is 39. He didn't care last year. I don't know if he'll care again. Steph's 35. Durant is 35. Luka and Jokic are notorious for not caring about this game. That's 5 of their 6 best players, with SGA being the other one. So I do like SGA over the 16.5. But if the whole West doesn't care, and then the East has Giannis, Dame, their head coach, needs a win, coaching the game, Tyrese Halliburton, he's home, right? Needs a game. I'm capping motivation here, baby.
Is Doc a reason to bet that side to what he's doing in Milwaukee right now? What's
Don't you
going
think he
on?
needs the game?
I think he needs more than this game. I think he needs a lot more games. What are they doing in Milwaukee?
I agree, but it's a good start. It's a good start.
Oh man!
Now the big event.
I didn't see this
potentially.
One coming. I figured you'd be all over the West. Man.
No, here's the thing. We did call that it was going to move. The big event is going to be Steph against Sabrina Ionescu. And women's hoops is continuing to gain and gain. And I know you and Matt were live when Caitlin Clark set the record. So we have a clip for the people from that moment, and we'll talk on the other side. Here's Consig and Matt.
Yeah, it doesn't look good if you have the under. She may put up 50.
10 of 16. I told you. I thought she was going to. I thought she might put up 50 simply because I think she that hammer down on the night that all those dignitaries are there in Carver Hawkeye to watch her break the record, go put on a show. 28 points in the first half. Pretty much puts on a show.
Not bad. That's not bad. I would have to say, I mean, if we were doing an in-game number, the in-game number would be 49.
40?
Oh,
it's a good number. It's a good number. Landed 49.
That landed 49, huh?
It's a good number.
We still got it, K-Dub. We still got it. We can go in the room tomorrow. They can't keep me out. Once you figure it out, it's all here.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me, how'd you do that? It's like a Copperfield magic trick. Thought about it, added the numbers up. 49. Bam, 49. She's amazing, K-Dub. Is she not?
Yes, no, she is. I'm not slandering. I'm just confused about one thing. She got the 49th point with 2 minutes left. How the heck did she not get 50? How did she not get 50? She's never scored 50 before. I didn't have the back end of the game on. I don't understand how she didn't get 50. I'm not following.
I don't know either. I mean, what's going on with that whole thing, what it's doing for women's basketball, women's sports in general, what it might do for Indiana Storm. Get the ticket now, K-Dub. They're 40-1 to win the WNBA championship. If she comes out, they have the number one pick. She's going there. That thing's going to be 10-1. I'm just telling you now. I got one of my guys told me this weekend at the Super Bowl weekend. He said, Dave, while you're going around to all the books, buy up all the Indiana Storm at 40-1. Because if she comes out of Iowa, she's going number one to them, most likely. And boom, that team is vastly improved and in the mix in the Eastern Conference. Put that one in your back pocket.
Now, just so you know, it is the Indiana Fever. Just so you know,
Indiana Fever. I said
now,
Storm. I was thinking of it's a Storm.
Yeah.
It's a fever. That's right. I want to talk about fevers with your condition, mine too.
But we don't have the order yet, or we do. They got to still do a lottery here.
No, I believe they have the number one pick. That's what I was told from one of my basketball.
I think you're
guys.
right.
Yeah.
That's pretty
worth
wild.
a shot. Lock it in. She may go back to school.
Be her and Aaliyah Boston. She can't go back. I mean, she could go back to school. Why not? I guess.
Big money now. They pay big money.
Make more money. She's the biggest star in college hoops. She's the biggest star in college hoops by a lot. I was watching the second biggest star last night. Ronnie James. He looked good, man. Looked good. USC got a big win against Utah.
They
I mean, it could be heating up.
Yeah.
Could be heating up.
Boy, the Pac-12
I gotta tell you.
I don't know about the Pac-12.
No, it is bad. It is interesting though that they have posted which team will select Bronny in the 2024 draft with the Lakers at plus 750.
What are we doing?
But it's a weird thing. Like, is someone he's gonna enter the league. He's gonna enter
one
the
and
league.
done? He's one and done?
Here's the thing, Dave. It's not worth debating whether or not he's good enough to go one and done. It's very obvious. Like, look, there was a time where it looked like he was going to legitimately be a lottery pick based on his talent. It's been a bad season for USC basketball. It has been a nightmare season. Andy Enfield's getting fired unless they win the Pac-12 conference tournament and go to the whole thing, okay? But if he enters at plus 7, the Lakers are going to be the team to draft him, no?
I don't think it's a question. I don't think it's a question at all. So, but I mean, are they shopping your boy? Like, did actually somebody talk to Golden State about him? Like, is there a possibility he won't be a Laker next season, Kevin?
Yeah. So I don't think so. I think little Trae Young rumors in the mix. I think the Lakers are basically, here's my read. From what I'm seeing, the Lakers have put out more trade rumors since the deadline passed, right, than in the 24 hours leading up to the trade deadline. I think basically they went, all right, I think we upset him. Let's let him know everything's groovy this offseason. Stars are coming, and the kid, we got you, big dog. And LeBron's like, you know what? I work for DraftKings anyway, man. I'm not that worried about it.
Give me the crowd.
Dave, I appreciate it, man. Enjoy in-game live. We'll get you the best bet on the other side.
I'm sort of starting to figure out where the Canadian guys play well, bro. Not Hawaii, not California. Give me a Canadian in Ohio, Cam. Give me a Canadian in Michigan. Give me a Canadian at the Waste Management.
Good old Charlie Hoffman, the representative of Waste Management, played the best tournament of his life in the 8 years and lost in a playoff to the Canadian. It turned out to be like a wicked tournament. Shout out to Nick Taylor, Gabe, BC's finest.
Sports Rage Late Night. only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Caravan came back. They did have a couple of transfers here. The reality is UConn is every bit as talented and dangerous as they were 1 year ago.
If there's a guy, Joe Ranieri, that for one game could take a bunch of cast-offs and steal a game, his name's Eric Spoelstra.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Another reason why they wanted the deadline is the number is 7. Those are the tradable first-round picks the New York Knicks have. And that could be something to look out for in the future. Does New York back it up and throw a ton of picks to a team like Dallas, maybe in the future, to get Luka Doncic?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early
The
line.
magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hey, welcome back. It's Game Time Decisions. I'm getting slander in the background. Every producer at this network thinks Bronny James is worthy of a first-round pick. Just tweet at him if you think I'm making it up. We were putting some selections in. If you need a best bet for tonight, give me the Team Detlef, Team Pow over the 72.5. This line's crept down from 74.5 down to this number. I do think it is too low. Look, so the target score is 40. Which means you're starting already with 40 points. It's basically, will the losing team get to 33 or more? I think the answer is yes. That's a lot of points to blow a team out by in such a short time frame there. I think this one can stay inside margin. Last year's G League team lost, ironically enough, 40-32. I think this year's crop is better, especially Ron Holland. I look for that game to go over the 72.5. You want a best bet for the weekend? It's the East plus the 3. We've talked about it with Consig. We've talked about it with JY. I get it. The West roster is better. This isn't the finals. It's an all-star game. Who's going to try? For me, it's the East. The average age of these rosters is nearly 30 for the West. It's about 26 for the Eastern Conference. It makes a difference. First-time guys, Tyrese Maxey, getting in the fold, pushing forward. The starters for this team, Halliburton, Giannis, Tatum, typically care. Brunson, Donovan Mitchell off the bench. These are guys that I trust to step up here in an all-star game. On the West, how many guys do they have over 30? Kawhi, Paul George, LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant. Jokic and Luka are their best players, literally. And they do not care about all-star games. Give me 3 points here with Giannis playing for his head coach and Tyrese Halliburton playing for the home crowd. We are on the over in this game at 364. Last 2 times it was East-West. It was 369 and 374 for total points scored. And our all-star game MVP shots are Giannis plus 650, Luka 19-1, and Donovan Mitchell at 22-1. That does it for Game Time Decisions this week. We will be back with you live on a Monday, a weekend off. How about that? In Game Live is next. Good luck.